No, that's great. Go ahead. That's fine.
Okay, well, we are recording, and this is the Mastermind Brainstorming Monday again. And before I start on anything, there's something that I really want to mention, and that is very important for us now, because this is in the early October. And you know, about a month from now, there's an election coming up, and there's some forces at play that necessarily don't have us, you know, our best interest at heart. So it's important for us to keep visualizing and imagining our future the way we want it to be. We got to do this every day, because that way we solidify the timeline to up where we have that visualized image of what we want in the future. Because there are other timelines out there going in different directions. Christ, one of the timelines out there, Hillary won the presidency 4 years ago, and they are deep in World War III right now. So we don't want anything to do with those other timelines. We want to stay here where we have designed it the way we want it. If we're able to keep the timeline that we in the mastermind have designed for ourselves, things are going to be good, even though it may be a little confusing, you know, come about election time or so. But let's keep it the way we have envisioned it to be, so we don't stray off into anything else, because it's not necessarily all that good there. Because there's a plan behind it all. And that started back in 1917 in Russia, the Bolshevik Revolution. And within the next 3 years after that, they had worked out 100-year plan for total takeover of the whole world, make the world a communist state. That was their plan. Of course, in 1989, when Russia collapsed, then the Russians quit that plan. They didn't want anything because they figured it out. Communism and socialism does not work. So they quit, and they went with a form of capitalistic system. It's a little different, but it's capitalistic at its core. And the Chinese, of course, they didn't quit. They've been on it, and they've been on it since its start, and that is still their plan. So that's what we have to exclude from the way we think about things. We got to stay on what we know we want. That was my stuff on the soapbox. So now I'm done. Let's revisit this concept that maybe the world does or does not revolve around us. Of course, in order to understand that, it really would help us to understand what is the world. I want to run something by you to think about, and I know some of you have heard this before, but we need to hear it again. And that is that for the last 300 years or so, we've been told that matter and energy cannot be created from nothing. Yeah, we've been told that every time we go to a physics class, that's what we hear. But then again, we have some of the sharpest people on the planet, including Stephen Hawking at Cambridge University when he was alive. He said that there's another story to this. And they were saying that quantum mechanics is showing us that this world was created from nothing. And then if this world was created from nothing, everything in this world was created from nothing, and you are in this world created from nothing, what are you? Think about that. Yeah, what are we? Are we physical flesh and bones and hangnails, or what are we?
Spiritual.
Yeah, maybe we are a hologram, or maybe something else that I want to remind you of. There's a physicist, his name is James Gates. And he says he's a physicist. He spent his whole life studying the universe and quantum mechanics and see how it all entangles. Now he says that deep in the equations that explains the fabric of space, he finds computer language. Now that tells us that this thing we call our world is a computer program. Not necessarily like the one that you're looking at right now or the one you have in your phone if you keep listening. No, it's a different form of computer, but there is computer language in it, ones and zeros. So what is that? What does that make? That makes it, there's a computer somewhere. And who is the operator of that computer? If the mind, yeah, exactly. We just might be running that computer. Because there's another thing also that you may have heard before, but again, we need to hear it again. And that is that I'm a hypnotist. And if I put you in a soft chair and talk to you for about 10, 15 minutes and tell you that when you wake up, you will see an elephant standing next to you right there in the room. Okay, I snap my finger, count you up 1 to 5 and bring you back out. And when you look over there, if I did my job right, you're going to see that elephant. You'll hear him. You can smell him. You can reach out and touch the snout on that elephant, and you can feel the rough texture of the skin. Okay. What happened to the real world? There's a problem here, and that is that I can't see the elephant because there is no elephant there, but you can see it. You can smell it, and you can taste it, you can touch it, feel it. It's there for you. Totally convincing, physically real. What's the difference between the elephant and this table that I'm sitting at right now? It feels perfectly solid, and the elephants feel perfectly solid to you. What is the difference? If we are part of that universal mind that runs the universal computer, and we are the ones that is creating our reality within that computerized holographic existence that this looks like it is. If we're creating it all, maybe the world is revolving around us. Could it be?
Yes.
Yeah. This one is a really hard thing to wrap our heads around. But you said yes, Larry, but can you envision this in your mind that is actually, it is us that is doing it?
I could picture it in my mind.
Yeah.
Whether or not I'm able to accept it consciously is probably the difference.
Yeah. And you know, I find myself the same place, because there are times when I talk like this, I absolutely, I totally believe it. I totally see it. I understand it. But then there are times when I don't think like I'm doing right now. I am doing other things, and then I consider stupid things that happen that to be absolutely real. But I created it. I don't care how stupid it was. I still created it, and I could have done different when it or where it didn't happen. Because I accepted what I see around me as real and solid and perfectly the way it is. But maybe it isn't the way we look at it. Maybe it is a holographic existence that we have created. So it gets really complicated when we get into this.
Only because we get in our own way.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. And the thing about it also is that we accept whatever we see. Once you accept something, it becomes real for you. And if we accept that it is a holographic existence which is real, but it is not real, we can alter it, we can change it. That's the same thing with time travel. There are scientific experiments, repeatable experiments that has been done at UCLA and several other higher institutions of learning, that where they have done experiments going back in time and altering the past so it creates a different presence or future. I talk about this on quite a few of my radio shows. This is very possible. So if you can alter the past, was the past real? Now it gets really complicated.
Only to what you're experiencing, it is real because of your belief again.
Exactly. Once you believe something, you accept it, and it is right there. It's solid. It's locked in. What I'm working on is to be able to accept the holographic existence, but also accept that I am in total control of it. So I can change it. Now, holding that acceptance or belief all the time, that's the hard part. There are times we forget. And that is why I've been able to go back and have a look at the past, and I've been able to have a look at the future. In fact, on one of my websites, I have photographic evidence of time travel and time slippage that I've done. And just for the fun of it, go to agi-nust.com, into the picture gallery on page 8. The 7th row pictures down, you got 2 pictures in the middle that taken at the same time, but they are totally different. That shows time slippage. 2 different timelines.
I think I was looking at your photo album yesterday.
I'm sorry, what was yesterday?
I said I was looking at your photo album yesterday.
Oh, okay. All right.
You know what I was interested in and what caught my eye was the Lakowski device.
The what device?
Lakowski device.
Oh, yeah. Yep. There's a lot of pictures. There's 5,000 of them or more, actually 5,300 pictures. That is strange things that really should not exist.
Oh, yeah. What did you say now? Page 8, what, row 7?
Yeah, row 7 on page 8 in the picture gallery, the 2 central pictures. There's a lot of written material that explains those 2 pictures. And this actually is probably the evidence, or one part of the evidence, that proves that nothing is locked in. The whole existence, including the past, is mind created. We create it right now, and there's a record of it. But because it was mind created right now, the record of the mind created present moment is placed into the record of all these pictures of the present moments placed behind each other so that they create a continuous flow of present moments. But it's still a mind created past, so we can go back and change it.
So this was the one with the road, the highway?
Yeah, it is a highway, in fact, Highway 6 going up through the northern part of Norway all the way down south. And you see the pictures taken about the same time, about a minute apart, but they're totally different. You got more leaves on the trees in one of them and less on the other one, and you can see it's totally different conditions. So
Yeah.
if you read that and study it, you'll see that.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and if you look at the upper left-hand corner, you see the date stamp.
Yep, the dates and the time.
I took this at my computer. I surrounded myself in that bubble, and this was taken through the cameras that show this road on a newspaper back in Europe. I took one picture, and many hours later, I tried to go back to the same time and take, I was trying to get it the exact same time, but I missed it by 1 minute and 5 seconds. And I took a picture at the same time or close to it, but the conditions are totally different. So it's a different timeline. Anyway, now when we think about what is happening here within this hologram, another question that I'm going to ask both you and Larry and whoever is out there is listening. Is this an accident or is it a purpose behind it?
I don't think there are accidents.
You don't think so?
I think it's always purpose.
Yeah, there's got to be a purpose somewhere, isn't it?
I mean, we're led to believe that it's an accident, but obviously it's preordained in a sense, but then again, we are the preordainers.
Yeah.
So it's like a dog chasing his tail, I guess.
Yeah. I used to have fun with that when I stuck something to the tail of the cat and see her running in circle trying to catch it. Exactly. Same thing, isn't it? We're on this loop, and the loop extends beyond the physical into a higher vibratory existence where we might be realizing that we should come back and do something over again, or play another game, and then we run through another life cycle, and then we come back into the spiritual again. And for the purpose of the soul, or the spark of eternal life, it becomes a lengthy one in the physical sense. But the thing about it is, you heard this saying that, my life passed before me in a flash. In a spiritual sense, that is a lifetime. So when we leave the physical, Christians say that you will be judged by God. And they're right. The question is, who is God? Look in the Bible, in John's and Psalms, it tells you right there that you are God's. So we will judge ourselves on our previous life existences, actions, and purpose. We look at that and say, well, gee, this one's really good. I learned from that one, but holy crockets, I screwed up that stuff so bad that, oh, I want to go back and do that over again because I know I can do better than that. And then you could be designed another life situation for you where you go back and it'll be arranged for you to advance in your life cycle so you can get to go through a similar situation where maybe you can do it better and get it right and get the actual learning experience you were designed to have the last time. That makes any sense?
Yeah, I believe that that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
We already chose our situation and try to get it. It's just that, we're in a veil of consciousness that abstracts from our true identity.
Yeah.
For us to be able to, but I don't know why that is. But then again, our knowledge that we have as in this form of life is what it is until we find a better way or a further input.
Yeah, and there's I am totally on board with the fact that all of this has a purpose. It's a lengthy purpose for our continuous upward growth in vibration and spiritual capacity. And when we ask ourselves about the purpose, I remember I went back and I did something in hypnosis where I was able to go back and I visualized and I saw myself at this pool between life cycles. I saw myself at this pool when there were several other entities standing with me. They would look kind of like me, and it's just that they were more lit up like light bulbs instead of me at the time. And I was presented with, I'm not sure if it was 3 or 4 different life situations. And I had to pick one. I picked my parents, I picked the life situations that I was going to be in. And I remember picking one, but I don't anymore remember a lot about the others that were not chosen. I remember one that had something in it, but I remember the one I chose. And I remember at the time, I was not really happy with it. But I remember that it would benefit me to go through all of this that I have done. And I remember the last thing I thought, and that was something similar to like, okay, I better get down there and start. That was the last thing I remember. And from there on, there were nothing. And evidently that was when the spark of life left that situation with what they're calling themselves the guardian of the soul, and left there. And then evidently I had this veil of amnesia placed where I could not remember anything before, and then I ended up in this life situation. So I know it has a purpose.
And we do run across the same souls.
Yeah. Yep.
I've noticed
Yeah,
that a lot of times.
Yeah. We end up spending many lifetimes, and that's why some of us have a long history.
That's where we get that past karma that we were talking about the other day.
Yeah, that was our last discussion, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Karma. Oh. Yeah,
But yeah, I agree with that we are here to not finish the job, but further our journey.
Yeah.
And try to make it better than the last journey. And yeah, we choose to come here. So.
Yeah, and from what I understand also, there are things we can get into during life cycles that actually sets us back. And then we have to realize, oh boy, did I screw that one up. I can't leave it there. I got to go back and get that taken care of. So we have to get it. It's a long way up physically, but a lifetime can last, spiritually can last just a snap of your finger and you through it all. I don't know about the snap of the finger. It could be a little bit of few, maybe minutes. I'm not sure. I have no idea, but it's very short. And when you go through that, and then you get a new life cycle, go back, spend a long time here, but you come back there, relive it, and the life cycle is short. So in the matter of spiritual time, if we can call it time, it doesn't last very long. And we are being told, and we have the impression of that physical reality, that's the only place we have time as we know it. It's not quite right. It's the lower astral worlds where ghosts get trapped. They have time too. It is a little more flexible than ours, but there is linear time involved. And in the higher vibratory realities, spiritually, fifth, sixth, seventh dimension, they also have time, but they can choose how long a time is. If they want to see and experience something, they activate the concept of time so that they can review it. And then when they're done reviewing it, then they collapse time to nothing again. So it is all embedded in all there is. That's what I saw in the download. They stretch out time so they can review things, then they collapse it.
Who was that Russian lady that was blind from a tornado, and then she was able to read the future for a lot of people? Do you remember who I'm talking about?
I wonder if she was Romanian.
Yeah, Romanian. Anyways, she said that she could look at somebody and see their whole life, like the whole thing was just a little, like being able to see, kind of like Zoxing, you know, where we're able to just take a photo mental image and have all that information right there at your, and be able to say exactly how it is and what it is. So, but yeah, there's so many movies that that hit on that, where you'll be just come into a situation and zap yourself into that time frame to, like you said, to go over it, and then, you know, zap yourself back out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. When we start realizing that we are the ones that is creating our world, man, oh man, the possibilities
are endless.
Yeah. But holding that in our mind all the time so we're able to create, it's the hard part. But that's why we have to do it as often as we can and meditate on it. And even the 3-minute meditations every day, like I do several times during the day, I just stop what I do, close my eyes, and then I just take 3 minutes where I close the mind down and think about nothing. And I try to get at least one 20-minute meditation, usually before I go to bed or sometimes early in the morning. But that is important because especially when you go to sleep, if you do a meditation before you go to sleep, your mind is slowing down anyway. It's much easier to get into an alpha state of awareness. And that's where the magic is. The bottom of the alpha. And also when I go to sleep, the last thing I do sometimes, if I got something I need an answer to, I just repeat it over and over and over again. I need the answer to such and such. I need the answer to such and such. And I do that over again as I fall asleep. And when I fall asleep, that things keep ringing in my mind, and the subconscious mind will go to work on it, look everywhere in the brain and see if you find the answer. If it doesn't find the answer, it hands it over to the superconscious mind, which is basically an empty connection device to the universal mind. And it reaches into the universal mind and might find it somewhere, maybe in somebody else's brain or somewhere in the universe that has nothing to do with physical reality at all. And it brings it back through the superconscious mind, through the subconscious mind, and next day sometime, or maybe a week later, it brings it up into conscious understanding, and you get this brilliant idea. Wow, that's right. That's the answer to what I was looking for. So that's why we need to do this all the time. And then we forget sometimes.
I was reading the book on by Andrew Carnegie, the one where he's talking about his different things to go by, and he was talking about interviewing Mr. Ford, and he said Ford told him, he said, I don't worry about anything that I can't figure out. I just do what I do, and I don't worry about the other stuff. It'll automatically come to me if I need it. So
Yeah.
I just do what I do, and then that's all I focus on, and that's why I'm able to do what I do. So
Yeah, that's good advice.
yeah, I mean, you know, if I know myself, we're always trying to figure out exactly every little detail to our situation, to where, you know, we are the only ones that believe we can solve it. Whereas if we just do what we do, the other parts will automatically come into focus.
Yeah. And we open ourselves totally up to that. I will know what I need to know for what I need to do at the time I need it. Then things will come. Worry, and worry is organized negative thinking.
Or
Because
paying debt. It's
you
not
get
doing that.
really deep into the worry about things, and you create scenarios. Oh God, what if that happened? And man, oh man, on top of that, this could happen too. And then you start piling it on, and that just destroys the positive vibrations in you. And you start creating, because the subconscious mind does not see the difference between a thought and reality. It's the same. So now you're creating in your mind all these negative scenarios, and you start creating from it. Boy, have I done that in the past.
Who hasn't? You know, you look at people all the time that are just living their lives like that, and it's just,
Yeah,
you wish them the best.
that's right. Well, so if we think about all this, we can actually figure out how this world was created, and maybe the world is rotating around us. Some. Because if we created it, we're in the middle of it. And it does have a purpose.
A definite purpose.
Yeah, so that's why we need to do the best we can. When we do good things, we put credits into a spiritual bank account. When we do nasty stuff to someone or for someone or something, we withdraw from that spiritual bank account by depositing negative vibration into that spiritual bank account that neutralizes some of the positives that are already there. I guess that's the best way I could think of it. Maybe that'll make sense.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah. I haven't heard much for Edgar. What do you think, Edgar? Are we on to something?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just listening to part of the stuff you guys are talking about. I'm familiar with the reading of Napoleon Hill. Yep, it says whatever the man can conceive, whatever you can believe, you can achieve.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you put it in your mind that you can do it, then it's done.
Yeah.
And you're right. You don't try and figure things out. Just go as far as you can go. And down the road, it take care of itself. You say, "Wow, here it is, right here."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just shows up. Just like I was talking about the picture I had on the wall of a Cadillac that I wanted to buy. Um, when I moved out the apartment, I never put it back up. And years later, it wasn't a new car, but it was the same car. It was an '89 Coupe de Ville, and the guy I worked for said, "Hey, I got something in the back you might like." And I looked back there, I said, "Wow." Exact same
Mhm.
car. That picture was a picture of a Cadillac Coupe de Ville that I had on the wall. It was the same color, gray, and all that. Yeah, later on it popped up and I bought it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and we got to keep our heads straight because we get pulled at from all kinds of different directions, and we should not get strayed off.
I think the emotion too with our thoughts definitely helps us get closer.
Yeah.
And the more vivid, the more detailed, like the picture that Edgar was talking about, the more vivid you can see that, the more it'll manifest into your life because of you pretty much being direct as far as what you're looking for, so that the outside can bring it to you. I mean, it's already out there. It's just a matter of you guys hooking up on the same frequency. So when you do that enough times, vividly enough, that it will manifest itself in your world.
Yeah. The thing is that we've never been taught how to communicate with the universal mind. Religion, they tell you pray. I'm all for it. It's just that nobody ever taught you how to pray. The prayer is concentrating on the words. The words are worthless when it comes to the spiritual reality because there is no air there to carry the voice. It is the thought, the emotion, the vivid, colorful images, the gratitude for already having what you want, and filled with love and other emotional things. That is the spiritual language. So that's what we have to add to the words. Church don't teach you how to do that. And in fact, they don't know how. If they knew, then they probably wouldn't tell you anyway. And that's why most prayers go unanswered.
Well, you're praying and it's more like hoping,
Yeah.
You're saying, well, I really would like this, and this is how I want it to be. And boy, I that at the same time, you're carrying that book of matches that are just burning the stuff down right behind you that you're asking for,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like hopium.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got another one here. Years ago when I was young, my mom and dad separated, and so I used to go back and forth to see him. They got along with each other, so they let me go back and forth. But I was kind of attached to my dad a little more.
Yeah.
But I used to always say, I said, I'm gonna get myself together. I'm gonna make a lot of money so I could move them next door to each other, even if they don't want to live together. And so later on in life, they had been separated like 40 years, and they ended up getting remarried. So I didn't have to buy the house
There you
next door
go.
because they end up getting married again. They still together now after 40 years. Because I used to go back and forth. I used to call my mother. I used to say, Well, my dad's sitting there looking out the window doing that, and you looking out the window doing that. And it's okay if I bring him over. So they kept seeing each other, and over time they end up getting back together on their own.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not easy.
no, it's not.
But I think I'm going to stop recording here. And before I do that, the people that is watching this recording, they can get in touch with us to be part of the Mastermind connection and join us there, because we are doing some incredible things and I know you will enjoy it. So send us an email to the mastermindconnection@gmail.com. The mastermindconnection@gmail.com. And I think that'll do it for now. So we'll see you in the